Well, Merry Christmas, everyone. First of all, how many of you at one time in your life believed in Santa Claus? And some of us still do. Well, I'm one of you, and I'm not going to pretend that I am Santa Claus. I'm John Prusa Marketing. This is Santa Claus is a privilege I get to do once a year, and it's my favorite time of the year. So I'm going to talk to you as John, and sometimes I may go in and out of the Santa mode, so please forgive me. Sometimes I forget who I am. But I was going to start off today by I wanted to tell you all about the history of Santa Claus, but then I realized many of you probably know the history more than I do. So there's no sense trying to tell you something you already know. But how many of you knew that Santa Claus is based on a character, or on a man, not a character, a man, that was born in the year 280 AD. He was named Nicholas by his parents. He was, at the time his parents were like 50 years old when he was born. They were all beyond childbearing years, they thought. And at that time, people only lived to be about 60 years old. Here they are 50, they have a child, they named him Nicholas, which means victory or victorious. And his parents were financially set. He was born in the area of southern Turkey in a town called Myra, and what we now call Turkey today. Well, his parents died when he was young, and they left him in the care of the priests of a local church. So he was raised by priests, and he lived in a time when there was a Great Depression or recession or whatever you want to call it. A lot of people didn't have the financial means to care for themselves. And especially in that time, girls, in order to get married, had to have a dowry. And without a dowry, there was no hope of getting married. So what he did was, because he wanted to help those that were less fortunate than himself, he went out at night and took his money and put it into the stockings of, because people hung their stockings at night to dry, he put it in their stockings, gold coins, to the girls' stockings, so that in the morning when they woke up, they found the money, they were happy they had a dowry, they could get married. And he enjoyed this giving of his wealth, okay? And this is from a story that I read called The Autobiography of Santa Claus, which is partly true and partly make-believe, but if you read the book, it's really interesting. It's a fun read. It tells you some things that you don't know where the truth is and where it's not, but it's a good read. So, does anybody know why we celebrate Christmas on December 25th? What?
It's Mithras' birthday celebration.
Yeah, it goes back to Constantine, the emperor of Rome. He was the first Christian emperor, and he decided he would take this Christian celebration and put it on December 25th, because the week before December 25th is, what was that again?
Solstice in Mithras.
Right, yeah. So, yeah. I told you you know more than me, okay? And then the week after that is the Saturnalia festival. So he combined those two festivals, two pagan festivals, and said, we'll do it on December 25th. We'll celebrate the birth of Christ. And that's how Christmas got on December 25th. You can argue that if Christ wasn't born on Christmas Day in December or March or whatever, it doesn't matter when he was born, it's just that we celebrate it on the 25th of December. About my job as Santa Claus and what I do, I started this about 8 years ago. In 2002, I bought an $80 used Santa suit from a store here in Huntington Beach to impress a lady I was dating. Good reason, you know, she had a grandson and he needed a Santa Claus. And at that time, I believe I was a member of the chamber, and I remember telling all chamber members at the breakfast, hey, if you need a Santa, for any reason, I'm your Santa. No charge. Take me as I am. And I did 5 engagements that year. And I learned my craft over the next 3 or 4 years by giving away Santa. I did like Mary Ellen does. Mary Ellen's a Mrs. Claus with her husband. They do strictly charity work. I've now turned professional. So I do charity work as well as professional appearances. But I started off with Kiwanis like you've done, right? Kiwanis at 8:30 in the morning on a Saturday at Walmart, or 6:30. 6 o'clock this year? Okay. Yeah, so it's an early morning for Santa. And I've donated my time to the Community Care Health Center, which I'll be there this Saturday morning at a toy giveaway. And I did all kinds of things, birthday parties, assisted living facilities. I don't do any malls. I was the Santa for one day at Bellaterra before they opened up the main area. And I have appeared at 5 Points one day. I walked around with Maureen. But I don't have a regular, I'm not a mall Santa. Private parties, private home parties, company parties. I get called in by, I know where was it, Meadowlark. They had a family coming in for a Christmas party. They wanted a Santa. They called me. I was a Santa for that party. This year, I'll tell you a little bit about what I do. This year I expanded myself marketing-wise, and I came up with a business card for Santa. And a picture of myself, I just tell them it's my dog. It's really not, but the kids seem to like it. And there's information. Well, it's always the sense of telling them that, you know, it's not my dog. Santa tells little kids. On the back is my contact information and my email. My email is very easy to remember. It's surfcitysanta@gmail.com. And I gave myself that designation because last year I was the Santa downtown on Tuesday nights. Okay? But not this year. Now, if you come and see me or I see you and I'm Santa Claus, I'll give you one of my green cards with the Santa's picture on the front and a verse from the book of Luke on the back. So if you want one of those. Outside on the table, there's a rate sheet for what I charge as Santa Claus, and I'm flexible in a lot of ways. I do 20-minute visits to homes here in Huntington Beach, and it says Huntington Beach area. I'm flexible, Fountain Valley, Newport, within a couple miles of Huntington Beach. Here's my shtick. When I go into my routine as Santa, typically, I'll tell people that when I get to your house, if you can have the kids off in another room. In other words, I don't just walk in and say, ho, ho, ho. There's a whole routine. And part of that routine is that when I come in, the kids are not in the room. They have a chair for me to sit in. So I'll be sitting in that chair, and then we let the kids in the room. And there's Santa. Donner, Dasher, Dancer, Prancer. And I'll talk in my sleep. I'll yell at the elves. I'll yell at the reindeer. And the kids come in, and they're just like in awe. This is just amazing. So then I've arranged for the parents to go 1, 2, 3, wake up Santa. The kids say that, I wake up. Now, if you want to see a look that'll just bring joy to your heart, look in the eyes of children as Santa wakes up. That's a view I get about 20 times a month in December. It's a precious view. And I see these kids, and I apologize for falling asleep, and they ask, how did I get here? And I said, I don't know. I fell asleep in my workshop, and I woke up here. Where am I? And they tell me, and then I ask them if I can read my favorite story. Okay? And I've carried this book with me since 2003, and I read this to the children. Does anybody know the name of Santa's favorite story?
Night Before Christmas?
Well, it's called Santa's Favorite Story. Yes, it's called Santa's Favorite Story, and I read that to the children, and then after I read the story, and they always enjoy it, then we do the photos and presents and whatever else parents have for their children. And that's my routine when I go into a house. Now, if parents don't want me to do that, fine, I'll do something else, but usually they really like that book